Hi, my name is Stefan van Woensel and I am the author of this book, Oil Traders' Words. A book with about 2,500 words, the daily talk, the daily words that are used by traders, operators, refiners, brokers, agents, bunker players. Everybody in the oil business is using a lot of jargon, a lot of words, and we forget always to ask ourselves, but what does it mean? What is the background? What is it? And the better you know, the better you communicate, the more sure you are, the better you will be able to deal in your business. Oil Traders' Words is a book available at Amazon.com and many other websites. So go to Amazon.com or Google it, find my website, and I tell you later on how you can get a 5% discount on the book. For now, I'd like to explain one of the words that is described in the book, very important for traders and operators and refiners. It's called contamination. And of course, contamination is actually the mixing of oil, but then not on purpose, but mixing as an accident, mixing as something that you cannot avoid, because when you have a certain quality of oil and you go into a new tank, then there is always some rests of other oils and you contaminate that. You are mixing something with each other. So you have to know with contamination, to at least to have some information, you need to know what is a vessel empty from. When you get a Q88, a questionnaire, and I will talk later about that book, that word as well, then you can find in the questionnaire, and maybe you have never looked at it, but you can find, when you go scroll completely down in the questionnaire, you'll find the last 3 cargoes of the vessel you just booked, or which you wish to book. And there you can see what it is. And there you can see if it was empty from crude, fuel oil, VGO, gasoline. The last 3 cargoes is on that. So then you can see that if you want to load gas oil and you see that your last 3 voyages have been naphtha, that the contamination of gas oil and naphtha is not a good idea, because when you contaminate naphtha, a little bit of naphtha into diesel, your flash point will be ruined and your product will lose big value. And the only way to get that out is by just get it back into a distillation unit and just get the naphtha out of the diesel. So contamination is very important. Also when you go to tanks, when you see your qualities and you think, hey, my quality is different, how is it possible? You have to look back on what is the tank empty from, what was there in the pipeline, because not all pipelines are empty, and some pipelines are full with other oil, and that is just used to push the oil back into the tank. And with line displacements, also another word in the business, there is so many reasons that you can contaminate something. And I can tell you, contaminations always lead to cost, always lead to lower value. I mean, of course, when you have a tank which is empty from unleaded 98 and you put unleaded 95 in it, you're lucky, because then you can pick something up. And sometimes you can also contaminate on purpose, because when you have a vessel which is just empty from fuel oil, but is not good empty enough, then you just put your oil on top of it, you heat it in the vessel, and then you just clean the walls basically of the vessel, and you get a little bit of plus. So then maybe you contaminate on purpose. Some contaminations have not effect on the cost at all, but just to realize that in logistics there is always, and I really say it's always, some contamination. And not all contamination is dangerous, because it happens enough that 1% of this doesn't ruin the 99% of the other. But look at it, understand it, and we talk a lot about it. This is one of the words in the book, and a lot of explanation, tips and stuff. Yeah, well, up to you. Just go to Google, go to Amazon.com. $26.50 for a book, or 18.5 pounds, which is really nothing. And as promised, 5% discount. You go to oiltraderswords.printtrail.com, and then you have a code which is OILYT, and you get 5% discount on the book. Up to you to make your decision, your call, your career, it's your communication, it's your wish to have knowledge. But I hope I made you curious enough to at least look up the book. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.